After the Stranger Things Season 5 trailer dropped, everyone's out there theorizing about who's gonna die. Mike, Eleven, Hopper again maybe, but what if the person everyone expects to die doesn't? Here's the thing, the Duffers confirmed something wild. Every single shot in this trailer comes from every episode of Season 5, including the finale, meaning every weird shot of Will looking like he just smelled Vecna is all part of the puzzle. So if every episode is represented in this trailer, then this thing can be treated as a breadcrumb map. And if you know how to read the map, you can predict the ending. From what we do know, the shots in the trailer actually line up pretty neatly with the 8 episodes of Season 5. Those daylight shots of the soldiers during the first 20 seconds of the trailer are from the first episode. We can confirm that because the Duffers revealed that the opening shot of the crawl shows the military actively hunting for Eleven. Now, moving on, we got that quick shot of Nancy washing her hands, and then that moment of Holly and her mom lying on the floor. Those two are from episode 2 titled The Vanishing of probably Holly Wheeler. This is very likely the moment the Demogorgon takes Holly and possibly injures or even kills Mrs. Wheeler. That would perfectly line up with the later shot of Nancy crying, which hits way more when you realize it's probably right after she finds her mom lying on the floor and sister gone. And how do we know this? Well, because the trailer shows us both Eleven and Nancy entering the Wheeler house, and in the behind the scenes photos, Holly was seen with Henry. Then we move to the next episode, the Turnbow Trap. Nancy's emotional speech is almost certainly from this episode, right after Holly's taken. We can also assume the scene of Will sensing something is from that same episode. This is where they plan out everything and set up the trap to capture the Demogorgon or try to trap Vecna. The most shocking moment of the entire trailer was this scene.
You are going to help me one last time.
From this single shot, everything changes because now we know that Vecna doesn't just want Will, he needs him. In fact, he's needed him this whole time.
We are going to do such beautiful things together.
Now, most fans assume this confrontation happens later, but if my theory is correct, that scene actually belongs to the Sorcerer, the 4th episode of Season 5, and here's why. Those quick shots of Will clutching onto Joyce while the Demogorgon leaps over them are a direct continuation of the Turnbow Trap. We see the same group of people, the same environment, the same lighting, meaning this entire stretch of the story flows right from that failed trap attempt into the Sorcerer episode. This is the moment we finally get the answer to one of the biggest mysteries in the entire show. Why is Will Byers so important? The answer, and I'm about 99% certain of this, is that Will Byers has similar powers as Vecna. Think about it. How did Vecna get his powers in the first place? We know how Eleven and the other lab kids did, through experimentation and most importantly, through Vecna's blood. Henry was just a kid, there was no lab, so if Vecna didn't gain his powers through the lab experiments, how did he? And that brings us straight to the next episode, the Shock Jock. Most fans are assuming it connects to the radio station, and I don't think Shock Jock is about the radio station. I think it's about electric shocks. Electricity and electric energy have always been a running motif in Stranger Things, from the Christmas lights in Season 1 to the Russians literally using massive amounts of electricity to tear open a gate in Season 3. Stranger Things draws inspiration from the real-world Montauk Project, the government's alleged experiments in mind control, and electricity is key to all of that. I think we're seeing a direct continuation of the Sorcerer episode, the one where Vecna lifts Will into the air. This is Will's Eren Yeager moment, the point where he finally learns that everything he's been through wasn't random. And that's exactly why we've seen those set photos, young Will and older Will together in the same scene. The shock isn't just physical electricity, it's mental electricity, a surge that reawakens everything Vecna and the Mind Flayer buried inside Will's mind. And this leads right back to my theory on Vecna's powers. Unlike Eleven, whose powers were created through Henry's influence and lab experimentation, Vecna's power didn't come from science, it came from the Mind Flayer. Before the portals even opened, the Mind Flayer chose Henry, not because he was the strongest, but because of his mind. His personality, his predatory obsession matched perfectly with its goals. The Duffers recently said how they've known the ending of Stranger Things for about 7 years now, which means this entire time, every moment with Will, every time he's heard the Mind Flayer, felt Vecna, or sensed the Upside Down, it was because of his connection. If we go all the way back to the very first episode of Season 1, we'll see the Demogorgon hunting Will. Now keep in mind, this could have easily been Vecna himself. There's noticeable similarity in the shape of the hand, but this was in fact a Demogorgon. It wasn't hunting him, it was guiding him, leading him into the Upside Down. Barb, on the other hand, was just unlucky. She was in the wrong place at the wrong time. But Will was pushed toward the Upside Down. He was hard to catch because he kept singing, "Should I stay or should I go?" The monster didn't want to kill him, it wanted him right there in that specific place, the same spot where Joyce and Hopper eventually found him. And that's when it all clicks. Will was chosen. 11. He was given powers by the Mind Flayer the same way Vecna was. The Mind Flayer saw something in him, something that made him worthy of carrying that same dark connection, that same energy that probably empowered Vecna. Look at the shot of this Demogorgon jumping toward Will. It's jumping over Will. Vecna's controlling the Demogorgon, using it to shield Will, because Vecna doesn't want him dead. Back in season 1, the boys lay out the rules. There are only two ways to get to the Upside Down. One, the portal, or two, being a Shadow Walker. At the time, everyone, and I mean everyone, assumed that had to mean 11. She was the one opening gates, flipping veins with her mind. But here's the thing, they were so wrong. Because the real Shadow Walker was Will, and we can actually prove it by comparing 11's powers to Will. Both of them share the ability to communicate between worlds. Remember in season 1 when Will was trying to reach Joyce from the Upside Down? He literally blew up 2 phones in the process. If this was just some random Upside Down physics thing, then Eddie, Steve, Nancy, and Robin would have done the same thing when they were trapped in the Upside Down, but nope, they were stuck Morse coding Christmas lights with Dustin. And here's where the case for Will's powers really locks into place: his ability to track people. We've seen 11 do it countless times, but guess what? Will does the exact same thing. Back in season 2 episode 5, he closes his eyes and pinpoints Hopper's exact location in the tunnels beneath Hawkins.
Turn right.
What?
I saw him.
Where?
Not here, in my now memories.
But here's the twist, Will has something 11 doesn't, because if we dig into Dungeons & Dragons lore, the same lore that Stranger Things has built its mythology around, the rules of shadow walking line up perfectly with what's been happening to Will since season 1. Always cold to the touch, a cruel smile, doesn't seem to bleed, talks to his shadow, and in his case, that's literally the Mind Flayer, the shadow monster. Black misty breath, at first it seems weird until you remember the shadowy tendrils rolling out of his mouth and he's infected. Fear of the dark. Ever since season 1, Will has never been the same around pure darkness. 11 doesn't fit this pattern at all. She bleeds when she uses her powers, her smile is genuine, and her void is a separate psychic dimension. And the show even slips in a visual clue that confirms this idea. Remember the ending of season 1 when Will's in the bathroom and coughs up that slug? He flickers for a split second like he's suddenly in the Upside Down. That was Will shadow walking. Take this for example. Both Will and 11 have the exact same lion plush toy. Meanwhile, Hopper's daughter Sarah had a tiger. In storytelling, lions have long symbolized power, so while Sarah's tiger represents innocence, the lion, shared between 11 and Will, symbolizes their power. But it wasn't until Will's possession in season 2 that everything changed. That's the moment he fully transformed into something new, because after that point, Will stopped being just a shadow walker and became a cleric. And that leads us straight to the real villain of this entire story. Not Vecna, not even the Upside Down itself, but the Mind Flayer. Vecna might be the voice, but the Mind Flayer is the one pulling every string, choosing every pawn, and Will Byers is his chosen piece. Now, after we finally learn what really happened to Will, how and why he was chosen, the episode should end on Will screaming "run." From leaked footage, we already know he yells it towards Steve, and that one detail gives the episode title, The Shock Jock, a whole new layer of meaning. See, the shock represents the electric awakening, the literal and metaphorical jolt of memory and power that courses through Will, but the jock is Steve, the original high school jock. The episode after that is titled Escape from Camazotz. This is where we see Lucas escaping, carrying an unconscious Max in his arms alongside Vicky. But right after that comes the next episode, The Bridge. And it's the key to understanding what the Upside Down actually is. Because the bridge isn't just about connecting characters or worlds, it's about uncovering that the Upside Down itself is an interdimensional bridge between our world and something far, far older and stranger, something known as Dimension X. The Upside Down, as it turns out, wasn't the first world corrupted by the Mind Flayer. It was the result of Dimension X colliding with ours. When those two planes of existence touched for the very first time, something new was created in between them. The Upside Down isn't a full dimension by itself, it's the bridge between two realities. And that brings us perfectly into the final episode titled The Right Side Up. Now, remember, in the Upside Down, time doesn't exist. It's permanently frozen in that exact moment it was created. And that, I believe, is exactly why Vecna wants to merge the Upside Down with the real world, to bring it into the right side, because if he succeeds, he removes the curse of time. He frees himself from the one thing that limits every human being, the ticking clock. And this leads us straight to the answer of this entire video: who survives it? So let's talk about who's likely to die in season 5. And right off the bat, the character who's likely written to die is Mike. Okay, don't leave, hear me out for a second. Mike's story has followed a very clear emotional pattern across all 4 seasons. He's always been the heart of the party, the one who believes in 11 even when no one else does. We're meant to assume that Season 5 will follow the same pattern. Mike helps Eleven find her strength again, helps her face Vecna, helps her save the world. But what if that's exactly what the show wants us to think? His loss will completely shatter Eleven's restraint, but I think Eleven won't die. The Duffers have taken one daughter from Hopper, so I doubt they're gonna take another one. Mike's death wouldn't just devastate Eleven, it would completely transform Will. His need to make it all mean something would push him dangerously close to Vecna's side. He'd convince himself that the only way to win is to understand the enemy. He'd pretend to join them to gain their trust to get close enough to strike, and that's when Eleven steps in for the final time. Because when Eleven faces Vecna in the finale, she's not just fighting him, she's fighting the very source code of her existence. Her powers were never truly her own. Remember in Season 4, her abilities only came back after she reconnected with her past. So when she finally destroys him in Season 5, she's not just killing Vecna, she's deleting the root directory of her own abilities. And this is what stops the military's hunt for her. And this brings us to Will. Vecna plans to use Will's body as a living gateway to merge the Upside Down in the real world forever. This time, Will isn't the one being saved, he's the one doing the saving. And when Eleven finally locates Vecna and unleashes everything she has left, the psychic link between Will, Vecna, and the Mind Flayer implodes. The energy surge tears through both worlds, shredding the bridge that's kept them connected since Season 1. The Upside Down collapses in on itself, folding back into the void of Dimension X. But because Will is the bridge, the collapse could likely kill him. And with Vecna's essence destroyed in the blast, Eleven's powers vanish too. But hey, that's just a theory, a stranger theory. But what do you think? Was Will always meant to be the bridge between worlds? Now go watch this video right here before the Mind Flayer finds you. Drop your theories in the comments and I'll see you in the right side up.